Here we are live from Warrington Town Hall, and the Development Management Committee has just come to an end. Plans for an £75 million Eddie Stobart warehouse on Greenbelt land in South Warrington have been approved. We're joined by Cllr Ryan Bate, who is also the Liberal Democrat parliamentary candidate for Warrington South. Ryan was among the people who spoke out against the plans during today's meeting. Ryan, can you sum up how you are feeling following that decision?
Well, normally on situations like this I'm just disappointed, but tonight I'm absolutely disgusted. I'm disgusted with a number of things about how the committee was conducted. I was disgusted about how some of the lengths to which officers were going to clearly steer the committee towards approving Stobart's, and I'm actually disappointed in the conduct of some fellow councillors on the committee tonight as well.
Obviously a huge blow to yourself and residents and other politicians as well, but it's not the end of the day, is it? It's still got to be approved from the Secretary of State, so you're still quite hopeful there may be a rethink down the line?
Absolutely. I would hope that you would have a Secretary of State and staff working on his behalf who are going to look at this impartially, who are going to look at this purely in terms of material planning considerations, and you won't have this bizarre scenario where you have senior officers in the council constantly looking across to the representatives of Stobart's to check whether they were happy with how things were going, which was how it looked from my point of view. You won't have situations where councillors make comments like the north of the town have had their share of development, now it's the south's turn, and you won't have this bizarre situation where a councillor actually seconded the recommendation for approval, despite at the very start of the debate asking where the site was, whether it was the site that used to be where Greenhalls was. I don't have confidence in people who come to committee meetings who don't even know where the site is. Not appreciating, the complex planning arguments around prematurity in very special circumstances is one thing, but when you don't even know where the site is and yet you've actually recommended approval and then voted for it, it's absolutely unexplainable.
Do you fear that this could somewhat open the floodgates as well for further development on Greenbelt sites in the south?
That was very much the case we were making. I mean, much of the debate seemed to be led conveniently along the line of prematurity, where it was a very close run thing between the two planning consultants on each side and also the legal advice which has been given. And we always knew that prematurity was not our best argument. What we were always concerned about was the very low bar which has been set for the very special circumstances. Seemingly, if you are a large developer and you can promise a few hundred jobs, then that means that you can pretty much build wherever you like in the green belt. That's how I would have interpreted tonight's decision. And whilst we don't like to use the word precedent, because of course it means a very specialist thing in legal terms and planning terms, that's exactly what has been set in layman's terms tonight. And I fear that this is only the thin end of the wedge, so I am absolutely optimistic that we can make a strong case to an impartial Secretary of State, and they will hopefully see sense and realise that we need to do things properly. We need to get a local plan in place first, and we need to make sure that economic benefits never are allowed to outweigh very important tests for the release of Greenbelt.
And just to finish, obviously a packed council chamber with residents there tonight, and tireless efforts over recent months from residents and campaigners across the area. How difficult is it going to be for yourself and other people to pick up those residents and ensure that they do continue campaigning to protect sites?
I think unfortunately we are in a situation where many of the people I represent and many of the people I'm campaigning on behalf, they knew that it was an uphill struggle. They know exactly the types of decisions which get taken in the town hall behind me, and I don't use those words lightly. I'm a Warrington lad, I have a great deal of belief and optimism for the future of our town, but when we can make decisions like that, I'm completely and utterly lost in my faith in the town. But I think you saw that there were 1,100 people who responded and said that they didn't want this. There were 2,000 plus signatories on a petition which said they didn't want this. You had hundreds of people turning up here tonight, and those people aren't going to just go away and roll over. They're still up for the fight. I'm still up for the fight, and we're going to keep battering that drum until we actually get the right, just outcome for the people of Warrington.
Thanks for your time, Ryan, and go and get some rest.
Thank you, Aaron.